If Herschel Walker is not the senator from the state of Georgia, then who is? If it's not Herschel Walker, then it's going to be Raphael Warnock. Warnock claims he's a Christian pastor, but this man has sided with Democrats on every single issue. Warnock actually proposed, he was the original sponsor of a piece of legislation that would allow abortion up until the moment of birth for any reason. This would be a federal law. So states completely overruled. He claims he's a Christian pastor, yet he wants abortion until the moment of birth for any reason. Do you know how horrendous that is? Every time I sit here on my show and I describe what a late-term abortion is, I get a flood of emails from people that are like, please, do you have to be so graphic? Do you have to describe this atrocity? And I always feel bad, to be honest, if I'm being perfectly authentic with you. I actually feel bad getting emails like that from conservatives because I don't mean to traumatize people. I don't like saying the words. But to understand what it is that Warnock stands for, you have to think about the reality of what he's supporting. These babies are getting lethal injections in the womb. A needle is stuck through the mother's stomach, her pregnant stomach, into the baby's heart. The baby writhes in pain. A toxin is injected into the heart that gives the baby a heart attack. And then the head is crushed by the abortionist to pull the baby out piece from piece. Does that make you nauseous? Are you offended by that? I hope you are. This is what's on the line in the state of Georgia. Raphael Warnock has allegations of abuse against him too. It's actually interesting because in the state of Georgia, there have been so many different races in the past 10 years that have been highlighted on the national level. And there's been one race where the allegations against a candidate have been completely ignored by the national media. And that candidate is Raphael Warnock. Thank goodness for Elena Goodman at the Free Beacon. If you guys have not gone over to the Free Beacon and read her extensive and detailed reporting on Warnock's history, his past, I encourage you to do so. Kudos to Elena for being the only one with the journalistic integrity to track this down. But let me read you just a little bit of what Elena has reported. Raphael Warnock has been accused of being involved in the abuse of underage children. This is what Goodman writes. These allegations center on a Maryland church camp where a young Warnock served in a senior role and where he was arrested in 2002 for obstructing a police investigation into alleged abuses taking place on campgrounds. How in God's name is that not a headline in the national media? This is what the Free Beacon writes. The state officials revoked the camp's authorization to operate, citing unreported incidents of child abuse and a bevy of health and safety violations. One of Warnock's campers, Anthony Washington, has now come forward telling Goodman at the Free Beacon that as a 12-year-old, counselors tossed urine on him and forced him to sleep outside. Warnock was in charge of this camp when this happened. The buck stops with him. And then when police investigated this, he obstructed them to the point that the police arrested him. Warnock's ex-wife accuses him of being not only an absent father, but of actually neglecting his children and refusing to pay his part of childcare expenses. She said that his refusal to pay child support left her financially strapped. And she said, this is the Free Beacon as well. She also said he routinely neglects to give her notice when he is traveling out of town during his visitation days with the children, and instead has the children picked up from school by friends and leaves them with various babysitters overnight while he is away. Does that not warrant a headline from the mainstream media? Do they not care? Is that not scandalous enough for them? Why? Because this man doesn't have a Republican initial after his name? Elena Goodman reported that in 2020, Warnock's ex-wife told police that he intentionally ran over her foot with his Tesla during an argument. So allegations of neglecting your children, refusing to pay child support, physically harming your ex-wife during an argument with your car, impeding the police in investigating child abuse at a camp where you were a senior pastor and in charge of protecting these children whose parents had entrusted you with their well-being. Guys, this is the alternative.